According to Forbes, there are about 45 million Americans who collectively owe $1.7 trillion in student loan debt. Senator Zach Duckworth is author of a bill that would ensure student loan servicers in Minnesota handle those loans responsibly, and I spoke with him this week. You, as Senate author, and Representative Zach Stevenson, a DFLer in the House, are sponsoring a Student Borrowers Bill of Rights. How did the two of you come to collaborate on this bill?
Yeah, Zach's a great guy. I've come to know him, obviously, and working together on this bill. And I think I had made it known that I'm willing to listen to any good ideas, no matter what party they come from. And he's the same and very like-minded in that regard. Plus, we both have two awesome first names. So we figured, hey, who better to partner with than each other when looking at a bill like this and how we can, really help people that are confronting a pretty serious issue.
Yeah, I did notice the two Zachs. This bill would put into place protections for student borrowers by licensing loan servicers through the Department of Commerce. What will licensing these companies achieve?
So licensing will really bring a degree of accountability into this process that's lacking in many regards right now. So obviously I'm a Republican, not necessarily a fan of additional regulation or licensing, but in this instance, I really think it's justified. It can do a lot of good because really what we're doing is we're protecting the consumer and protecting students. And that's what this licensing process will allow the Department of Commerce to do. We don't want young people getting taken advantage of, and this is a way that we can prevent that from happening.
At the press conference where you unveiled this legislation, Destiny Belmont told her story of getting an advanced degree and then believing that it would be forgiven over time through a loan forgiveness program because she was working in the public schools, I think, as a counselor. In fact, her provider made frequent changes to the loan, and when she thought she had achieved loan forgiveness, she found she still had a long ways to go. If this bill were law, how would her outcome have been different?
And that's a great question. So it's stories like that that really kind of get me fired up about this process and the situation in general that folks are facing. Nobody should have anything changed up on them without their knowledge or not have the loan payment schedule be working as it was described to them. So what this bill would do is prevent that from occurring from the very get-go, would really deter the situation from occurring altogether. And that's how folks like Destiny would be, safeguarded in the future, really not put in that position, period.
You often bring your real estate background to bear on this issue because as a real estate agent, you have a fiduciary duty to your clients to make sure that they make smart financial decisions. What protections do people buying homes have that student borrowers do not?
Another excellent question. So as a real estate professional, I have a license from the Department of Commerce here in the state of Minnesota, and so do a lot of loan originators who are originating mortgage loans for folks that are purchasing that property. So you've got two licensed individuals, not including the title person that's also going to be licensed. It's a part of that process. So really the state has shown that this process is so complicated and that consumers deserve those protections and safeguards that they have authorized or mandated licenses for a few different professionals throughout that process. And because of that, consumers are protected. There's accountability, there's transparency, they have to be educated and know what they're signing on to. That same process, that same school of thought, no pun intended, should really get applied to young people who are looking to pursue a higher degree or education. That's all this seeks to do. It's about protection, it's about transparency, it's about accountability.
But then to that point, to take this the next step, would it make sense for student loan borrowers to have to go through more education and more to make sure that they really understand what they're signing on to before they even enter college? And we have to remember these often, not always, but often are young people.
Right. Well, so I've got three younger brothers. They all went through the college process, and to watch them, they would often call me or my parents to say, "What's going on? What am I signing on to? What does this mean? How's it going to play out? How does it affect me?" And so what I'm hopeful is the education piece of this gets solved through licensing, because as somebody has that license and is working with this person, they have to sort of educate them about the process. That's what I do when it comes to buying or selling homes, educate the public about that process, advise them and protect them along the way. So that's really what it seeks to do in terms of trying to help those young folks. We just don't want them to get taken advantage of. But what's important is to understand is this: agreeing to take and accept a loan is a very big responsibility. And I don't want to take that away from young folks as they're agreeing to accept this financial support. That's important. They need to realize and understand that they have that responsibility and commitment to pay that loan. But just equally important is the commitment we have to those young people to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of and they're being safeguarded when they do accept to take those loans and further their education.
Now, this isn't part of the bill, but I'd like your thoughts on this to continue this comparison between home buying and student loans, because home buyers can refinance at a lower interest rate, but student borrowers cannot. Is that fair?
Well, I think there are a lot more protections and options afforded to people who have home mortgages, and I would like to see some of that flexibility afforded to folks that have student loans. I think that's only fair. I think it's the right thing to do. And oftentimes, these young folks who have these loans, they just aren't aware of the many options that they might have available to them to try to renegotiate or improve their financial situation or look at different terms. Oftentimes, because their best interest is not put at the forefront of the transaction like it is when somebody's looking to purchase a home or take out a home loan. The client's best interest comes first. We need to make sure the best interest of our young people is coming first when they're seeking a higher education.
Well, and so then that could play out with how the licensing works for these loan servicing organizations, and your bill would prohibit them from knowingly misapplying payments and from acting deceptively or fraudulently. Does more need to, is that sufficient to just make sure that students get those loans paid back properly?
So to me, the items that you just described, it should be common sense for everybody, right? Of course, we shouldn't have deception or misappropriation or misapplying of funds, right? So for me, I think that this legislation is a good start. It moves us in that direction to safeguard and protect these folks, but also understand and honor, the commitment and the process they're undertaking to fund their education.
Anyone who's been in the situation of Destiny Belmont, who finds out that they've been making payments in good faith and what they think is happening isn't happening, do they have any recourse at this point?
That's what this bill seeks to do. It seeks to, number one, prevent it from even happening, and number two, provide some recourse, because if you have to have that license from the Department of Commerce to operate and service these loans, and you violate the student's Bill of Rights, well, guess what? The Commerce Department has the ability to fine you or take that license away. It's the same thing I'm subjected to as a real estate professional. And guess what? I'd like to think I would always act with integrity, regardless of whether or not my license could be taken away. But guess what? It sure ensures that I do the right thing all the time, because I know that license would be in jeopardy if I don't.
Now, I've looked online, and this bill has made some movement in the Senate. Its companion in the House is also making movement. Are you hopeful that this bill can become law this session?
So I am an optimistic guy by nature. I'm always hopeful, but I'm also very realistic. It's a very busy session. We're coming up. We've already passed one deadline. We've got more deadlines coming. We've got some very significant things we have to figure out in terms of our budget, negotiating that, not to mention the pandemic, schools, businesses, etc. All that to say, it's a priority for me. I'm going to keep pushing for it. I want to see it move forward. Whether or not it happens this session remains to be seen.
Senator Zach Duckworth, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.